Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin, joined by my two co-creators and co-hosts who wasn't on the last episode, but they're here today, Brandon and Lee. How you guys doing today?
Yo, what's up?
We're here. One of us is queer, and we're ready to do some podcasting. How are
All
you,
right.
Calvin?
I'm doing good. I am happy. There we go. Like that, right? I am happy. Happy to have you two back today. And, we're going to talk about some things today. And Lee, kind of want to let you just introduce our guest for today.
Yeah, so coming back to the show is our very own Christina. Christina, how are you?
I'm well. I am happy. I am gay. If people don't realize, I meant it in the typical gay.
I was about to say, is this about to become a very special coming out episode?
Hey, you never know what's going to come up. You never know. Ask the right questions.
But hey, this episode, we're having a gay old time here, y'all. So, Christina, you brought along a friend here. Why don't you tell us about him?
Okay. So the guest that I have brought to you guys today is my good friend Jason. He is an up-and-coming filmmaker, writer, photographer here in the SBC. And this is a topic that I feel he will have a lot of perspective on to help people kind of come to understanding us and our differences a little better. So I will let him do his own tooting from here on.
Thank you, Christina. Thanks. So, hey guys, my name is Jason. Like she said, I'm a photographer, filmmaker, and local to the SBC. I'm also pretty freaking queer. So yeah, I've been kind of doing this for a while. So I've been around doing like photography since about 2014. And I ventured into filmmaking around 2018, 2019, around that time. Right now, I'm currently in school for film and media studies, trying to make sure that I get a degree and make sure that my voice is heard amongst all of the other voices of Black and queer people that, don't necessarily have the ability to speak out and speak up about their experiences and whatnot.
Well, Jason, I think we got to speak on behalf of us that we're definitely glad that, you're coming out to talk to us today about this. And, thank you, Christina, for bringing them to us. And just listening to you and Lee, I mean, you all are just, you're excited to be gay and queer, and that to me, that takes a lot of pride, which is what we're doing a show about today. It is Pride Month. So I guess to you all and everybody else out there listening who is part of the LGBTQ community, happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. So, and I have a lot of questions, like, I'm ignorant when it comes to the LGBT community. I'm not sure if Brandon is or Christina is, but we definitely have a lot of questions to ask you. And, we're all in this world together and we need to learn to understand each other. Though we may not have all the same interests or same beliefs, but we have to try to understand each other so we can get along. We're going to have more about this coming up next. Make sure you guys stay tuned to a jam-packed episode of the Straight Up Show podcast. Happy Pride Month to all those. All right, and we're back. So, like I said, we're going to actually do something different. We're going to just talk about Pride Month. And, I'm very ignorant when it comes to it. But before we do, Pride Month is valued within the LGBT community. So much so that Nickelodeon has come out and showed their support about SpongeBob is being gay. No offense to, I try, and Lee, you can help me out, and Jason help me out, but I try my best not to offend anybody. So if I do, please be straight up with me and put me in check, okay? But I think we all can say we all knew SpongeBob was gay.
You're not wrong.
I think the real question at this point is Patrick gay?
I think that is the real question. And who's top and who's bottom?
Oh no.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that question from Brandon.
Wow.
Well, I think considering that we've seen multiple episodes of, Patrick and SpongeBob basically playing the family role together, it's kind of like if they work where it's kind of like, okay, this is nothing new. It's always been alluded to. So it's kind of like, it's cool that if they're confirming that he's gay, which I'm pretty sure at this point it is kind of like, why now? Like, what caused this to happen like now?
I never thought in 2020 we'd be talking about queer icon SpongeBob SquarePants.
But you know what? I think this is a very apropos time, though, considering a lot of this generation grew up on SpongeBob and kind of connected to him in different ways. I think it's kind of appropriate time to be like, hey, you know what? Most of us are about the same age as SpongeBob now, if you're just looking at it like that. And this is a time that I think they're like, hey, we just want to support you in the smallest ways that we know how. That's my non-completely gay perspective on it. Sorry.
I mean, I think I get what you're saying. Like, by them doing it now, obviously I have then stopped watching SpongeBob, but it kind of gives, it kind of helps people understand, like, hey, this is this character that I have been watching recently or, for a long time, knowing that he's gay now, allows me to accept who I am, and just be more comfortable.
I was going to say, I think this is, like Christina alluded to, is that why not now? This is a perfect time, especially with everything going on. And especially at this time during this recording of this podcast. Today marks 20 days of the basically almost 3 months of COVID and 20 days of protesting after the death of George Floyd. And people are just tired of hiding out and hiding their true feelings. And I want to go ahead and just try to transition into basically Jason and Lee focusing on you two today. You're not hiding anymore. That's basically what I think Pride Month is. But I want to start with Lee and just kind of say, you know what, you're not scared. You weren't scared, and we want to hear your life journey and about stop hiding. The moment you stop hiding who you really are and what you love and what you believe in.
Well, for starters, I was very, very scared when I first came out. So I grew up in a very Christian household. About the time I was hitting puberty and realizing, oh, hey, I'm probably into dudes. That's when my mom got super into Jesus. And so I had to kind of compartmentalize that for a long time. Like, it wasn't even an option for me. Like, I was this good little Christian kid, and homosexuals are evil, and all the things you're kind of taught growing up in the Christian South. And I didn't actually come out until I was 21. So I was dating a girl at the time.
Wow.
And we had a relationship. I can't even tell you how long it lasted. It was a few months at least, but things started getting serious, and she told me she loved me, and that's when I realized, hey, this thing I'm hiding is probably gonna hurt this person. So I had to rip that Band-Aid off, and she was the first person I ever came out to.
Oh, wow.
And luckily for me, she was super supportive. Like, we remained friends and all this. And from there, it kind of snowballed. Like, I started coming out to friends and everything. And then finally I came out to my mom. And, her being the God-fearing woman she is, she's like, I don't, agree with it. I don't support it. But I love you. You're my son. I mean, we were always close. So that even me coming out to her, that didn't really change any of that. But she would still, I remember later on in life when, after the coming out and everything, and I had a crush on a straight friend that I knew would never happen, and it was upsetting me or whatever, she came to me one day and she said, you'll get through this, and I truly believe that one day you'll find a nice woman to come home to. And she said this with like the biggest shit-eating grin on her face, and I just couldn't stop laughing. And it was like this weird, almost like nonverbal thing, like nonverbal understood thing of, okay, this is who you are. I'm still kind of working it out. Like, sadly, my mom passed away in 2012, so she never really got to see me as the full person I am now. But there's still that part of me that's like, man, I wish she was still around so we could have like conversations, because I got married after she passed away, and I'd like to talk to her about like, okay, so I'm going through this in my relationship. What was it like for you? I never got to have that like parental child thing, but here we are. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, and that was pretty much my coming out process. And I
Oh
mean,
no,
y'all know me now. I'm out and proud, and like I don't really hide from it.
right, and that's and we thank you for that. No one should ever have to hide themselves who they are. And a quick story about me and Lee. We used to do a scholarship program at our college, and part of that was to anchor the news, quote unquote. And we would come up, and me and Lee were anchors, and I only knew Lee from school, and I told Lee this story plenty of times. And like his mom, I am very super Christian, and I even still have my beliefs, and I don't believe in gay marriage and stuff like that. And it's okay that we can have those differences. The moment that I found out that Lee was gay was when, I've worked with Lee for a long time, and I think he came to the newsroom and was like, "I'm getting married this weekend." And I'm like, "Cool, man. Who is she?" "Oh, he's going to be my new husband." I'm like, "Whoa, what?" And then it was at that point, because I had these homophobic, especially in the black community, these big, big, big homophobic mental thoughts and stuff like that, and I was very against it. But it was at that moment that Lee said it, just so calm and so prideful, that he's getting married to a man. Nothing changed. Nothing. It didn't make me feel any different. Like, he was still Lee, and I was like, you know what? Good for him. This guy that, like I said, we witnessed him go through, things with his mom, and to see him happy after all this, that made me feel better as a human being, that this person is being with somebody who's happy he's with. So Lee, man, love you, brother. I'm glad that, you've helped me grow, especially mentally, especially in learning, educating me on a lot of stuff about the LGBT community.
Thank you.
So we want to talk about our guest today, and just Jason. Like I said, I've only met you a couple times in school, but I never knew that you were a homosexual, or like I said, if I say anything wrong, please correct me, because I don't want to be insensitive at all. But I never knew anything about you. But I've heard a lot about you from Christina, and she said that you'll be a great guest. And I just want to hear about your story and how you were or trying to come out.
So all of the things that y'all talked about so far, it brings light to many different issues that are in, like, not in just in the queer community, but with the intersection between being Black and being queer. It's like people always assume that like being queer or something other than being straight is like either a quote unquote white thing or it's like the devil. And I'm like, do y'all not realize that y'all can be queer and a Christian too? Like, that's like a thing. But
Right.
I digress. So I realized that I was like some form of queer around at a younger age, actually, kind of around like 8 or 9. I knew there was some off. There was some different. Mostly because it's like, I grew up with the internet. Like, I grew up with like AOL, like basically attached to me. I was always on the internet because that was like one of the few places where I felt like I can truly be myself, because I was bullied a lot just in general when I was younger and all throughout like elementary school, middle school, and right up to high school, whatever. So I discovered like porn around 8, 9, around that time. And then, I explored all of the different websites and all that at night when no one was looking. And then I just kind of came across this like, oh, guy, guy. And it was like, oh, this is interesting. And it just kind of went on from there. And I kind of did like a little quote unquote experiment by talking to people about it when I was around 13. And I got a lot of like mixed reactions from it. Like it actually got to a point where like there were a bunch of rumors being spread about me, and there was a lot of violence that was like pointed towards me. I remember one time like during a lunch, like someone threw a freaking orange at my head, and I don't have a scar from it, thank God, but it was one of the moments where I was like, people really don't like me because of this. I was like, oh, okay. But over time, you just have to come to terms with the fact that like you just have to be yourself. And it's not say you should care. You shouldn't really care about what people think of you. So it's kind of like when people's all like, oh, I don't agree with it, but I accept you. But it's like, there's nothing for you to have to, I guess, accept or to come to terms with, because it's like it's not really about you. I'm telling you this because it's like I feel like I trust you with this information, and then like, oh, I don't agree with it. So it's kind of like a slap in the face. But overall, it's like over time, I've basically kind of like become more confident with me being queer, me being bisexual, and having my queerness and my blackness be one. Because whenever you, especially in the Black community, whenever you're out as queer, they're always going to try to point out your queerness as like, oh, it's just a phase, while questioning your blackness at the same time. It's a double-edged sword. So that's why there's a lot of different things like ballroom and other like aspects of Black culture and queer culture that we as Black queer people have started and people take for granted now, like voguing and all of that stuff. Like people take that for granted now, and I'm like, do y'all not know that like that was part of the whole like queer rights movement? On top of that, it was like Stonewall happened for a reason. The Stonewall happened because of all of the frustration that queer people has faced, especially from Black queer people, because there's a lot of Black queer people were the voices of the queer rights movement. Black trans women were the voices of the movement then, and they are now. Black people are always having to like for not only our rights, but for like rights of our people that don't even like us. And a lot of it is our own people that don't really with queer folks, and it just really sucks. And they always attribute it to I wasn't raised like that, or like I was raised by the church. And I'm like, yes, were raised by the church, but God told you to teach love and to spread love. And what you're not spreading is love whenever you're saying that, like, oh, I don't agree with gay people, or I don't agree with queer people.
I'm glad that you have a friend like Christina who brought you to us for you to be so bold. We want to thank y'all so much for being, I guess, in some people's eyes, being brave, because even doing this interview and this podcast today, you all are setting examples for people who are not as brave as you are. So thank you so much. We're gonna continue talking to you guys. But I want to know next, what you guys go through and the negative side of it. And I know there's Pride Month, but I want to hear what people put you guys through. We're gonna talk about that coming up here next.
Hey everybody, it's your BFF Lee here, and I need to be straight up with you for a minute. We are not doing enough social distancing right now. I know things suck at the moment, but unless it's absolutely necessary, don't leave your house. You're literally saving lives if you don't. Also, wash your hands. Until next time, keep it straight up.
Okay, and we're back. So before this show is called Straight Up, right? And so but before me getting ready for the next segment, I'm asking them about just the kind of how should I produce this and what kind of music I should use. And I said, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask y'all if I should use EDM or. And I'm not trying to be insensitive. It's a serious question. Like I'm not trying to step on any toes.
I think first of all, like Christina said, how you said it was funny, but also like it's just how, like, I always go back to like the image of how America sees certain things and certain people, and that's just one of those things. I'm quite sure next year, Fox will come out and say, "Yeah, Stewie is gay." Like, really? Yeah. I remember the episode with Stewie dancing in the club. I think he took off his diaper or shirt off. No, he didn't take off his diaper, but his shirt off as well. So, it's just one of those, just funny moments where it's, that's what the average person kind of.
Yeah, and I'm trying so hard because I don't want to be insensitive at all, and because I think that especially in today's climate, it's so easy to be insensitive to some things. Like some people are getting heckled right now because some people not understanding why people are protesting. But especially with this being on, and like and Christina said, I'm such a guy. Like I'm sorry, I just don't want to offend, especially our guest today. So hey, we're gonna keep it straight up. That's what we go through behind the scenes, but it's gonna be on the show now. I put it on the show. So what now? But anyway, just talking about like clubs. Sadly, we're recording this in June, and this is I could be wrong, but a couple of years since the club in Orlando that people were actually murdered. What can you tell us about the Post nightclub and why people were killed?
Well, of course, it's Orlando and in Florida, which is a lot of people, think it's a party capital of the whole, country. So, from what I remember, it basically was a hate crime. Like one dude was basically like targeting queer people, gay people, because of the fact that they were gay, and he used his religious affiliation in order to seemingly justify the means. And a lot of the details are fuzzy right now because I've tried to
And that's
watch that from
fine.
my memory.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I hate that that stuff has to happen, especially with the hate crime. And that's why I get so confused about how some Americans don't like people because they're black. I mean, it goes on black, fat. Trust me, I got like you said earlier, it's a double-edged sword. I'm fat, black, and educated, so I mean, I get it just as bad. And so I can only imagine what other people go through. That's why y'all have Pride Month. And you know, I remember being just flicking through the channels one day and I saw a show called Noah's Ark. It's basically like the gay version of Girlfriends, and I didn't know. And it's just like these guys who are best friends and they're all gay, but then one episode this guy gets beat up because he was gay. And I just didn't think that gay people went through things like that. People were that violent towards gay people. So I just want to know from you all, have y'all witnessed any gay crimes or gay bashing crimes, or y'all gone through anything? What's some things that people don't know that the LGBT community goes through, especially when it comes to people being mean and violent?
Well, Jason got hit in the head with an orange.
And I wasn't even an adult yet.
This is true.
So when it comes to a lot of the violence, of course, we see a lot of people using Christianity in their internalized homophobia in order to seemingly justify them acting out and being like, okay, acting out and trying to lash out. And I remember listening in on one of your previous podcasts and listening to the mental health specialist. I feel like what she was talking about can correlate as much here. Maybe a lot of people have those thoughts that are based in, implicit bias and based off stuff that they were taught as they were younger about, people that are different from them. But these people chose to act out on it. And that's the part where I feel like we have to like keep on being like, hey, you can't just generalize. The same thing is like, You can't generalize Black folks. You can't generalize queer folks. We're not all a monolith. We're all different people, and yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because that is how a lot of people, like, people see gay people as colorful, you know, very outgoing, you know, very energetic at times, like what you see on just entertainment. And that's not always the case, you know. I've, like Christina, I know some people that has told me that they were gay or whatever. I'm like, oh, really? I didn't see that coming. Cool. Like, what else you got? You know, it doesn't bother me at all. But like, because you have that like image in your mind, it's like, yeah, I didn't see that coming. But yeah, I definitely get when people understand each other, and probably like just hang out. Now, I haven't been to any gay bars. Well, what are those places where, I guess, guys drag places? Haven't been to none of those. But I know a straight man that has went and had a good old time. Yeah, drag show. Yeah, I'm not talking NASCAR.
I'll have to send you a list of a couple places because there's a few in Shreveport, Bossier.
I mean, are you going?
I'm sorry?
Are you going?
Am I going to those?
Yeah, I'm not going by myself.
Oh, yeah, I'll go with you. I'll go with you.
Everybody.
You'd be surprised by how normal it is. You'll go and you'll just be like, oh, okay, there is no man walking around in 6-inch heels and big wigs. I mean, the performers are, and you'd be surprised. You'd be like, wow, that's a great show.
I don't know, because, I mean, you say that, and I have, you know, my background is DJing in a club, so I used to be always in the club, and I went to a gay bar in Shreveport, in Louisiana, which I don't know, it's in Louisiana, and I walked in, you know, I'm a big, I'm over 200 pounds.
I think they call you a bear.
I'm a bear. There you go.
A grizzly.
I'm a grizzly bear.
Calvin is 100% a bear.
A bear. Anyway, so I go with my friend. She's a gay DJ, and I actually want to get to a point about her. She's a gay DJ and lesbian, and I go in the club with them, trying just to show support because I'm not scared of anybody. And I go in there. It's like the dance floor is popping, everybody's dancing. You know, I know they're gay people, they're gay and lesbian. It was the LGBT community, and it's like they almost smelt me out. Like, oh, he's straight. And like all eyes are on me. And keep in mind, I always wear black when I'm in a club, but they were just they smell. I felt like I was smelt out, like I was like a bomb sniffing dog, and they were just always looking at me, trying to like get on me. And I'm not saying I wasn't uncomfortable. I'm like, man, they can just tell that I'm straight. And I don't know, I mean, am I wrong to feel that way, or?
I want to ask a question.
Okay.
What race were most of these people that they were looking at you? It was like that.
Mostly white.
Bam.
But I mean, it was.
You're a big chocolate bear. I mean,
it was a mixed crowd. There was some other, you know, black people in there too. So, but the thing about this night when I went there, it was actually a fight at the club, and I actually got hit with a parking cone.
See, do you get smacked in the, like, just instead of an orange with Jason, like just a dildo just hit your head?
No.
Oh.
A rubber.
It was a rubber. I was hit with a rubber orange parking cone because these guys were drunk. Yes, I don't know why, but that's my only remembrance of going to my first ever gay club was getting hit by an orange cone and having people just stare at me like, "Why are you here?" And I had a good time. The music was popping, and you know, so I had a good time. But I just didn't, you know that, you know, I never felt I can't say that I wasn't welcome, but I felt like I wasn't welcome. But at the same time, they were welcoming. I just felt unwelcome because I was getting stares. You know,
I think a lot of it was more so probably based off racism rather than like them pointing you out as like, oh, he's straight. I think a lot of people, like, let me tell you, racism in the queer community is rampant.
Yep.
Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Racism transcends sexuality. So a lot of people they're either looking at you like, ooh, he fine. Giving that little piece of dark chocolate right there. Or they're looking at you like, in their head, like, oh, why is this here? Like that. But of course, it's not always going to be like that. But I feel like that's one of the things that comes through my mind whenever, I go to anywhere, but like going to queer spaces, like you'd think that gay bars would be a safe space for queer people. It's kind of is, kind of isn't, because they still go after the default, like white gay or white little gay boy or whatever. And they don't really take into account the fact that like, hey, queer people are, just as diverse as everyone else.
Like Joe Exotic.
Yeah. Oh God, don't use exotic.
I mean, the Tiger King was gay. I thought he was gay.
No,
not Tiger.
He was exotic.
God.
No,
that goes into a whole nother conversation.
But Lee, can you Lee, can you elaborate for people like me with a 5th grade education that what he just said?
I mean, yeah, like Joe Exotic was gay, but he was also like predatory and kind of sketchy and not a great role model. So,
he's not a great role model at all.
Yeah, he's not something the queer community should really be holding up. I mean, he can't really be held up anyways because the dude's in jail. But
And I know we said that we were not going to discuss this, but since Jason and you kind of alluded to it, I want to just bring it up. So I never thought that there could be racism in the gay community, but the person I was just telling you about who invited me to my first gay club actually is now getting just kicked out of the LGBT community because she came out. She's an avid supporter of the president, and she's a proud gay lesbian person too. But she said some definitely graphic things. Even said that George Floyd faked his death and that he's not really dead, and conspiracy theories, and said some really cruel and insensitive stuff on Twitter. And I have never seen anybody get so much backlash from the gay community, from the LGBT community, excuse me, in a long time since I got criticized for speaking out about having the same same marriage. So, I mean, is that even possible to be part of the LGBT community and be so right winged?
Sadly, yes, very much so. Because racism exists in the queer community, classism also exists in the queer community. Because you got all these, rich gays that haven't had to interact with poor people in a while, and they're trapped in their own little bubble, and they don't understand, how the world actually works. So, yeah, they can easily buy into those conspiracy theories and crap like that. And they, follow our Mad King president to the end of the world because they, like I said, they haven't actually been in the community in some time. They're in their own little rich bubble or what have you, or even people that aren't rich, but they see themselves as rich, because you get that in the straight community as well. That's how the guy has so many supporters. But I mean, yeah, of course that happens in our community.
And at the time of this recording, he has said that he's going to cut medical funding to transgender. So how can you still be supporting that as a community? Even though he's trying to say that even though y'all are married, you want to be a different sex, I'm going to cut medical funding for you. And how can you still be a part of that?
I mean, you can't if you're a sane person.
A lot of people, they still, like, even though they're queer, they still go by their race first. And it's kind of like, all right, let's go for instance, Caitlyn Jenner. She supported Trump from the get-go. And then she only changed her tune whenever, President Trump or whatever, he started cutting funding for trans people. Because he's been trying to cut funding for trans people from the get-go, starting with the military. Yep. And it just goes to show that they go, like a lot of the voters, they would rather go by race rather than their, their gender or creed or whatever. They rather vote for somebody who's, white that goes along with what their supposed ideals are rather than, for the greater good of the country, which you'd expect people to do.
Well, I'm definitely learning a lot because, like I said, and a lot of y'all may hear me stumbling and fumbling up my words more than usual, but it's because I don't want to offend anybody. So I want to be educated because I don't want to be insensitive to people that I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are guilty of doing this, especially in our Black community. I know that we've been mistreated, but I look at it like this: I've actually got criticized, and I want to thank the LGBT community for coming to my side, especially on Facebook. If you're listening to this, you know who you are. Like I said, I identify myself as a Christian. I'm taught to love and learn, but I don't believe in Adam and Steve. I believe in Adam and Eve. That's my belief. Okay, I can only encourage you. That's what Christ said, but that's my belief. I can't change you as a person. On the flip side, I'm an American too. I've lived to my grandma and my family lived through a time that my grandma couldn't even vote because she was Black, a woman, and she wasn't even the age. So, I mean, as an American, I can't be mad if y'all get certain rights that the country says that we can have. We're supposed to be free to do what we want to, so we can't be hypocritical. And that's what we're fighting for, what people are protesting right now. I say this to say this. I say that to say this. Sorry, there we go. Because the moment that President Obama legalized gay marriage for all countries, Lee, you had to go to Colorado to get married. And I know that you're mad because it happened right afterwards. But I made a statement on Facebook.
Dude, it was like 6 months afterwards.
Hey, but you got an early honeymoon, so you can't argue with that. All right. But so when this happened, Lee, I made a post. I said that although I don't share the same belief as you, I'm glad that the LGBT community has the same right to marry who they want and love they want as the rest of every American. Man, when I say that, Jason, the whole Christian church, my members and everybody came after me with fire. And it was just, you should denounce your Christianity, you should do this. And man, they were calling me, heckling me, they calling Kaepernick me. But luckily, so many part of the LGBT community, straight community came to my defense and they understood. And actually the person that was giving the most trouble was actually, I think, got charged with cyberbullying. But it was that serious. And I'm like, we have to understand each other. Yeah, I have my beliefs. Yeah, they're Hindus, they're Christian, but you look on the streets in Atlanta, Los Angeles, New York, there's Republicans, Democrats, Hindu, Christian, Buddhist. They're all protesting for the same thing right now. And so when it comes to the LGBT community, we have to understand these people and those who love who they want to love. So we're going to kind of dive more back into this, but we're going to take a little break right quick and come back into this. Okay, so it's Pride Month. I mean, as a straight man, I have a lot of questions for y'all, okay? I have a lot of questions. Like, first off, what's up with the rainbows? I want to know why the rainbows, because I can't look at Skittles the same.
Actually, I'm a pop in real quick on that one because Jason knows how I feel about gay rights and the rainbow, and I have one demand of it. And that's if you gonna claim the whole damn rainbow, I want to see y'all looking colorful. Jason wears black and gray and blue, and I demand he add more colors or I'm taking my rainbow back. That's always my complaint. That's it.
Oh yeah, that is pretty much what you wear a lot. Now that I think about it.
It's because of work. It's because of my job.
No.
It's a serious question. Lee, I don't know if you remember this, but we were editing a video and getting ready for the news because we co-anchored together. But I don't know if you remember this question. When I found out you were gay, I had a lot of questions to ask you. And so I always thought that the rainbow just meant Pink Floyd because of the album cover. And I always thought that was what it meant, Pink Floyd. So can you just break down what the colors mean or just why the rainbow flag?
I'm gonna reveal myself as a very, very bad gay right now. I actually have no idea what the rainbow flag represents. I've never like taken the time to like look into it or anything. I'm just like, yeah, it's that's our flag. That's what I'll adopt. Okay.
Now, was
Like
it Harvey Milk?
like just looking at it at face value, it's just like probably.
Hey, Lee, don't feel bad. That's me in the American flag.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of us in the flag, and a lot of us don't know the rules behind the flag. So I get annoyed even just watching people fly a flag. I'm like, you're not supposed to make this a commercial thing. But a lot of people don't know. They just want to be supportive. But wasn't Harvey Milk the one who kind of coined the rainbow as the gay pride flag?
Actually, nah.
Oh, okay. Who is it?
So it's actually been popularized as a symbol of the queer community by San Francisco artist Gilbert Baker in 1978. And it's based off of diversity. All of the different colors means all of the different kinds of queer people. It's about diversity.
But you just said y'all terrible with diversity. Where's the purple in this flag? I'm trying to look it up. Oh yeah.
The original gay pride flag has 6 colors. Purple's at the bottom.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
But the most recent one is the flag that is there's a flag that I think was unveiled in Philadelphia. It has the black and brown on top.
Yeah, that's
that
the one
goes into the diversity of black and brown people in the gay community as well as everyone else.
So I might be getting kind of off on this one. As far as all the different, I'm going to say the wrong term, sexualities go, don't they all have a different symbol or color to represent their sexuality?
Actually,
like aromantic
there's a lot of
everything.
pride flags.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and I'm curious. That brings a question. What do the two of you specifically kind of think of all the different genders and sexualities, and not necessarily your opinion on it, but what is your perception of all these sexualities and how, I guess CIS would be the term, people look at how it is? Because I look at it kind of like, I don't care what you identify as, I don't care what you're attracted to, just tell me your name and we can go from there. But a lot of people take that very personally and they get not necessarily angry, but they get very defensive of it. How do you feel about it? Like if someone wants you to ask about their pronouns, or if they want you to specifically understand that they're like, I'm aromantic or I'm asexual.
I got a curse on this one. That's a good question, because I offend a lot of people because of pronouns, and I can't help it.
Actually, yes, you can help it.
I know. I cannot help it. It's kind of like that goes into that question I had. Like, how do you not offend people? Because I hesitate because like I can say dude. I don't even like to say dude anymore, because I say dude and it's like all hell break loose. And like I'm just being like verbally beat up because I just said, what's up, dude? Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been on the other side of that too. So people like that's insensitive.
I need
I'm not trying to be.
Okay.
I can actually address this a little bit.
I have been scarred because of this. You don't understand. Like this is and this has been also on in gaming as well. You're playing as a character. And I say, what's up, dude? I'm a female. Oh, okay. Sup, chick, you know. And then she will get offended by that. And then, like, I swear, you can ask Courtney this. It went to a whole nother thing. And I was like, I don't, hey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to know the same thing, Lee. What do you have to say about this, Lee? Because you can answer this.
So to answer your earlier question about pronouns, there's a very, very easy solution to not ever get mixed up. It's using the word they and them instead of he or she. It's like, because look, I'm non-binary myself. I don't really identify as male or female. So to me it's they them. It's not, he him. But I mean, if you don't know, then that's what you use. And yeah, like, I think people probably get upset about being called dude because you're probably not the first person to call them dude. That's probably why they're upset, is because they've heard it over and over, and it's probably given them a complex at this point. So yeah, you're probably stepping on something there. Hey everybody, Lee here. And guess what? The reviews are in, and the Straight Up Show podcast is a hit. Don't believe me? Well, listen to what one of our guest panelists, Dr. Monique Thompson, has to say.
Listen, y'all listening to Straight Up and support this podcast, because I listened in before I came on the show. I liked what I heard. They're really focusing on keeping things real and being real with you, and I like that approach. So you guys support this podcast.
So if you want to listen, donate to the show, have a subject idea, or even want to be a guest, just contact us at straightupshow@gmail.com. That's straightupshow@gmail.com.
We're coming back now. Brandon is kind of like me. If you haven't been listening, I'm fumbling over my words because I don't want to say the wrong thing, or in Brandon's case, like what is the right pronoun? Like, how do we fix this pronoun issue?
That's if it can be fixed.
I'm going to come out and say that it's not really an issue. It's kind of more so just like, you always got to tread carefully. When in doubt, I just think you just say like how we use they for everything else, we can use they for people.
Yep.
We do it all the time.
Yeah, because language is constantly evolving. So why shouldn't the pronouns evolve?
I get
But should it be aggressive? That's my thing.
What do you mean by aggressive?
Okay,
dude.
So I'll be very honest right now. I have no problems with anybody. Most people who know me know, as I said before, I don't care. And I don't mean that to be like, I don't care about you. I don't care about your problems. It means I don't care. Just tell me what your name is and what you would like me to call you today or forever. Just let me know. But I don't like the expectation on me right away, because I don't make assumptions really. So I can acknowledge that they is how I could approach everyone and be like, okay, what are your pronouns? But that just doesn't flow in conversation to me. It feels very alien to me. And it's not to say it won't change with time, but I've had conversations with quite a number of people and been attacked verbally because I've said, what is your name? And they'll be like, oh, you don't ask about pronouns, or you don't care about it. It's like, I do care. I just want to know, what is your name, so I can call you by your name and we don't have to worry about the they or she or he part. I was like, if you want to be called Jennifer, I will call you Jennifer. And if I come up to you tomorrow and you're like, well, I'm not Jennifer today, my name is Jonah, I'm like, okay, hey Jonah, and keep going. But the demand kind of throws me off.
I'm curious though. Have the people that's been aggressive to you been white females?
Mostly, yes.
All of the ones that's been aggressive to me have been white females. All of them.
And that's not to say I can understand it, and I can understand the frustration. But this will be first conversation. Like we have just met each other. We haven't even been introduced properly. And I'll say, hey, my name's Christina. And they're like, oh, I'm so-and-so. I'm like, okay. And then maybe we're in a group. In one situation, we were in a group. and one of their friends had gone off somewhere or whatever, and they were like, oh, where did X person go? And I was like, oh, I think she went to the bathroom. And they were like, it's they. And I was like, okay. That's where I thought it was over.
So
I thought it was over with okay,
right.
But they were like, no, you should. And I was like, whoa. Don't get aggressive with me because we're going to flip it real fast.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so
I can acknowledge, but...
Lee and Jason, this kind of just walk with me here. This is the issue I run into. I told you before where, like, sometimes you never know when somebody is gay or not. Okay, and I just did it again. That whole LBGTQ, I'm legit serious. Did I name all of them? Is it LBGTQ?
All right. So
Did I name all of them?
Hold on. For me, I use queer as an all-around term. Queer studies has been a thing since 1972. I fully believe and know that if you want to include everybody, you can just use queer. Yes, I know queer has been used as a slur, and it still is used as a slur. However, the queer community that has effectively reclaimed queer for us to be able to identify as well as, like, it's always been used for academic studies when it comes to all of this, when it comes to queer people, when it comes to the history in queer everything. So I say, if you want to include everybody, you can do LGBTQ, which Q is for queer, that is all encompassing, but you can also use both. I still say tread carefully, but that's just me. That's how I run.
I see. I'm a little bit better now, but in the beginning, I didn't know them letters. I will miss one or two, and I'm like, it is what it is. And some people don't even want to be called queer, because they only want to be called one of them. Mm. So going back to what I was saying earlier, I don't know if you're one of them. Like, I don't know, you could be, straight from my view, and then you would be trans. I'm like, holy, but you wouldn't want to be called a he or she, it'd be they. I will call said person a guy, automatic trigger. And now, like, it's like, a whole verbal thing, disrespect, like I disrespected the person, and I'm like, wait, what just happened? And that's, when I say this has happened so many times, at least 4 times, it's something for me to where, like, now, I don't even want to, it's you don't even want to try, because if you try, it's going to blow up. That's how serious it has gotten for me, where you don't even want to try. And I'm trying, but, sometimes people make it really hard to want to try some things,
Yeah, I understand that. I think for me personally, I feel like a lot of the reasons why people are defensive is because of the violence that has been known to come to queer people as a result of either being misgendered or, being looked at as something that we as a community, we as a society have been socially conditioned to, just trigger in our heads as a default. And it's up to us to be able to try to unlearn those defaults and to just kind of tread from, like, it's kind of like case by case basis. And all of these biases, all of these different things that we've been socially conditioned to as a society to, just put as triggers in our mind to, like, automatically assume that one thing's another, is not always the best thing. Of course, historically, it's always been that way, but now it's kind of like you just have to think about it as, like, okay, maybe they're not this way, but we have gender neutral terms for a reason. in order to combat that. That's why a lot of people just use they in conversations. That's why you just go by calling people by their name. And if they get defensive on it, don't take it personally, because they've been probably hurt by it. A lot of the things that have been said, they've probably experienced violence as a result. So it's up to you to try to educate yourself and try to keep going. And if people come at you wrong, you can clap back. You just don't like, misgender them or call them out their name while doing it. Because, like, for example, like if a trans person is acting up, you can call them out. But you got to call them out by their correct pronouns too.
Right.
Because misgendering them is just gonna a whole lot of things up, and that's gonna invalidate your whole argument.
Right. And that's confusing because Brandon and I have a person that we had to train professionally, and he himself,
No, I know who you're talking about. I ain't trained him.
See, look, you see.
Don't do that.
He's about to do a mispronoun. But
he is I have not had pronoun issues with him.
Okay. So Lee and Jason, this is what Brandon gets so defensive about this. But this person, I'm once again, if I say the wrong thing, let me know. But he's very flamboyant, and it's not really confusing. It's more of uncomfortable. And I know that people, like I said, especially with drag queens, that you're doing your thing. One of my good friends, man, he's a drag queen, and I'm like, hey, do your thing, man. You do your makeup well. Kudos to you. But this person that Brandon and I know, he's very flamboyant. And it's just like it's flamboyant to a way that makes other people who are straight very uncomfortable. And I don't know how to even, I guess, feel about saying that, or why do we feel uncomfortable? Because I mean, like, I've learned to accept everybody. I'm a black man. I have to learn to accept everybody. But just seeing him being around him is very uncomfortable. Does it make sense? Because
can I interject here?
Wait, before you do that, I just want to set the record straight.
I would need to know, like, what are they doing specifically that makes you uncomfortable?
Yeah, that's why I want to set the record straight. Making you uncomfortable.
Okay, so like I said, I'm okay with him being, he is who he is. He's wears his fingernails and stuff like that. He wears loud pink everywhere. But no, this is gonna be legally right. But we would do stuff like I was a sports reporter, and he would go around cheerleaders and he would just grab on them, and and just that was the uncomfortable part.
That's it.
And it's just like okay, but I thought you were a gay man, but you're grabbing on like these cheerleaders and you're trying to grab the pom poms and do what they're doing, and that's okay. But it's just like, why am I feeling uncomfortable?
It's more so based on what I'm hearing is the fact that he's gay. So one thing's clear: just because, you don't have to be necessarily like gay. You don't like gender identity does not correlate to interest. So let's put that out there. However, it's the fact that he's grabbing on women is the problem. His flamboyance has nothing to do with it. It's just the fact that his predatory behavior and his basically it kind of feels like it's some form of misogyny, because it's like, oh, I'm just because I'm gay, that means all of it doesn't apply to me. Which at the same as like, no, you're still a man if he identifies as a man. He does not have the right to be grabbing on women willy-nilly like that, or trying to just go on about what he's doing, because it's not by him being flamboyant. It's him basically performing misogyny by thinking that he can do whatever women do better sometimes.
Right. And I guess from a professional aspect of it, we're there to do a job, and, and I'm not saying that you have to hide your identity during, the work hours, but at the same time, it's like, you don't have, be professional too. But I'm not saying it's embarrassing in our company, but it's just like, you're doing these things to where it's like you're. And if I were in the LGBT community, I would say it would be kind of embarrassing. I guess. Am I wrong to say that? I guess.
No, you have every right to call. I feel like you can call him out on that behavior because that is unprofessional behavior that he's doing. Just grabbing a woman, that's sexual harassment. No matter, that's all across the board, just sexual harassment, no matter what.
But he can get away with it because these girls think that, oh well, he would never ever make a move on me because I am,
I feel like just because they say it's okay doesn't really mean it's okay. And I think another thing that I'm hearing is that, like I said, another thing that we've been conditioned as a society to correlate together is being flamboyant equals being gay. Just because one is gay doesn't mean they're flamboyant and vice versa.
Right.
So that is like that. Part of that correlation, I feel like, is what's making another reasons why y'all feel uncomfortable with him. And it's not necessarily because he's gay. And it's not because he's flamboyant. It's because he's acting that way and thinking he can get away with it. And other people are allowing him to have that bad behavior because of the fact that he may be gay, because of the association with flamboyance with being gay.
Okay. I need
Does
to
that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I need to set the record straight because I keep telling Calvin and everybody else, I don't have a problem with this guy because he's gay or whatever. I don't care about that.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
You just said it. No.
I'm not saying because
I feel comfortable because of who he is.
My apologies to you. I know that's not how you feel. I know that the unprofessionalism is why you don't want to work with him.
The unprofessionalism and how he carries himself as his profession is why I don't like him. I don't like him. And he refuses to do the right things and be professional and continue to do things. And people congratulate him for doing that. That's why I don't like him. Because he does the wrong things. And the people hold him on some type of pedestal. And I'm like, this isn't what we should be working toward, That's why I don't care for him.
You almost said pitiful.
No, I almost said pet, because I was trying to say pedestal, but I said pitiful. Because he's pitiful. He's pitiful. He is pitiful. I'll say that.
I'm sorry.
Brandon really does not like this person.
I do not like this person. Now let me guess. I work at Planet Fitness overnight, and I finally got a chance to. There's a coworker named Josh, and he has these long fingernails. But dude is cool as hell. He spends about $80 on his fingernails, and men and women just love to just look at him and talk about him in a good way because his fingernails, and they're like, how do you work with those things? Even women are like, I want his thighs. I'm like, well, dude, be on the Stairmaster. I have no issues with, people that are flamboyant, yay, whatever. My issues with this one cat is that he is unprofessional. People look at him like he's a golden chicken, and I'm like, this is an issue. That's why I had to set straight. It had nothing to do with him being gay.
And my apologies, Brandon is not homophobic. He's not like that at all. So if I portrayed you as that way all these years, no, I'm not saying that's why he does that. But that's kind of why I was uncomfortable because, like I said, I don't see, and like I said, I got a lot of love for Lee. I don't see Lee like just, being flamboyant like that. You know what I mean? And so, and thank you for putting me in check, about how to feel and that flamboyancy is not wrong. It's just the way he does it and the way he's, just conducting himself professionally is making him look bad. And I think that a lot of people like myself excuse his behavior because they don't want to be, saying that, well, insensitive to the way he is and just accept him. But it looks bad in y'all's part because that's automatically how we think that every person that is flamboyant is like that. Lee?
Yeah, that's where all the weird, like, they're gonna go into our bathrooms and rape us thing. That's where that kind of mentality and stuff comes from, is from
Wait, what?
bad eggs like that. The whole, like, the transgender people are just men dressing up as women to go into bathrooms to rape women. That kind of like thinking,
Oh,
and it stems from events like that, and it's they're, I mean, they're isolated, but I mean there's a little bit there, but that's not where you need to base all of your arguments towards the queer community at, and because of these one bad eggs.
And
Because, like,
see,
you kept using the word flamboyant when you meant like predatory.
I don't know what.
Calvin wasn't that clear, I think, about you. You kind of blended two different issues with one. You were like, oh, he's flamboyant, and then you went on to, you mentioned his nails, and then you went on to talk about, but he grabs on women. I'm like, well,
what I was saying,
those
like,
don't match up. These complaints don't match up.
well, the complaint was because people look at me and say, well, he's black. But with him, they say, well, we know for sure, well, they subconsciously think that, well, he's gay. So I was trying to paint a picture of what people are thinking, and they said, well, I know that he gets away with that kind of behavior because on first glance at him, you know that he's probably part of the LGBT community. It's wrong to assume that, of course, because I know a lot of straight guys that are on my Facebook right now who are straight but love to dress up like women. I was trying to paint a picture of, like, okay, on first glance, we see him touching or just hugging, like, just you hug somebody and it's like, I'm pretty sure any girl would say your dad tell you you shouldn't let a guy hug you this way, or a grown man shouldn't hug you this way. So it was one of those kind of uncomfortable hugs or taking a picture with somebody, and it was just like, accepting for him, but people don't call him out because they're scared to be that, okay, well, he's being himself. So I guess I hope I'm making sense of everything. I think Jason kind of corrected me, and I appreciate that. But
well, it sounds like to me that these are things you have more of a problem with than anybody else. And I'm only saying that because most of my friends are male, and touchy. Some of them aren't. Some of them are obviously gay, but it's not a big deal to me. Like, I can acknowledge if I'm very uncomfortable with somebody or not, and I understand where you're like, this is a little weird that he's so handsy, because there are men who get away with saying, oh, well, I'm not into women, so it's okay for me to do this. But what kind of throws me is straight men, military background, as far as I know, I can speak on. We just recently had a debate within my unit about transgender people wanting to enlist and things, and some people were like, I don't care, if you want to put on a uniform and fight and wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to defend people, go for it. I'm happy. Welcome aboard. But then some very straight, very obviously homophobic people were kind of like, no, they're just going to do it to go into women's showers, and what if they assault somebody? I'm like, my question to them flat out was, why is that the first thing that came to mind for you? Like, why is the bad part? The first thing that came to so many straight men's minds was like, how can I use this to some perverted advantage?
Because that's what they want to do.
And that's what I'm
that's
like, exactly.
They
so
wish
I'm
they
like, okay,
they wish they could do that.
Is it the fact that he can grab the women? And I'm not trying to say like, ooh, Calvin. No, I understand you're a little uncomfortable with it because you just like, hey, this, as a man, I wanted to say something about this, but it's not your place, honestly, because as long as those women don't look uncomfortable, you don't step in yet. And that's a fine line to toe, but that's just where you're standing right now. But yeah, so many men are just like, oh, well, I would never want a transgender person or a gay man in my unit. I'm like, he's a better soldier than you, though. So what's the problem? Well, what if he's staring at us? It's like, you're tooting your own horn too hard. Nobody's staring at you. And if they are, who cares? You stare at everybody else. Like, as long as the person's not doing something to you physically, it doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable. It doesn't matter if you like what they like or anything like that. It has nothing to do with you. Just suck it up. Like, just get over it. Let them be them. Like, don't like them for a real reason, and not just because like, you just rub me the wrong way, and I don't like that you seem to be this way or something. Because it has nothing to do with anything. And I'm not attacking you. That's just my view on it. That's why I was like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, Calvin, you horrible person.
No, I'm gonna end the show right now because I'm hurt. You've hurt. No, I'm just kidding.
Be all right. You be all right, though.
I don't want to misconstrue anything I'm saying because, you know, people like Brandon did not want to train this person. And so I accepted the person the way he was, and I actually trained him to learn the crap that he learned that he has right now. And he was able to take what I taught him and to go on do big things. So I'm just like, you know, I didn't judge him at all. I was uncomfortable. I bit the bullet, and I still trained him. Whereas people would make fun of him about the way he was and, you know, talk behind his back. But I accepted him for who he was, and I still trained him, and now he's doing better off somewhat with this. Because Brandon didn't want to train him, so.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so if you were a little uncomfortable with him being as flamboyant or whatever he was, why aren't you uncomfortable about the fact that people are laughing or making comments or doing whatever off to the side? Like, why doesn't that bother you equally as much?
It does.
That, yes, he's grabbing people, but you're okay with kind of like, well, they were kind of mean to him, but it's all right.
Or no, I mean,
like, why don't you want to step in and do something about that part?
Because I need money to make a job, so I would never go to my boss and you know, question what they say. These are people in charge.
Like, but you'd be willing to do that if he's grabbing onto women.
If it's,
I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not trying to put you in a.
No, you're not.
But
It's questions that I can't.
It's very clear to me that you, and it's good that you're kind of looking out for women, because women honestly do need a little more help out here.
Right.
But at the same time, it should be kind of like, look, there's something happening here in the workplace that shouldn't be, and you know, you should feel the same for your coworker as you do for your female coworkers. And I mean, true enough, this is just a typical bullying situation. People can laugh and say what they want about anybody. So you'd be like, oh, it's okay. But depending on what they're saying and or doing, could be doing to him, would you be like, hey man, just chill, leave him alone? Or would you just be like, he got it? Because you were very serious about him grabbing on women, even though he's a seemingly gay man. Man or whatever.
I answer your question with this. I'm gonna respond to her. I know we're getting off topic right now. I want to answer your question with this. In the position that we were at my job, I was already afraid as a black man to even question authority without being facing some sort of penalty. So I've already had my insecurities at the workplace. So why would I want to jeopardize my work with my other insecurities already with somebody else's issues? So, I mean, that's definitely an issue I've had at the workplace. So as a black man already going through troubles, why would I want to add fuel to the fire? And you're right. I should have stepped up and said something to these people. I even do. I even went back to this guy and said, hey, I know that people judge you a lot, but you get face a lot of criticism, you know, and you never let that stop you. And which, even though that he was doing stuff he was doing, he actually is an inspiration to me because he took what he had, which is very little. Brandon, don't make that face to me. I mean, y'all can't see Brandon's face right now, but I can see Brandon's face. Don't make that face to me. But no, just saying he took what he had, he made it into his own, and he was able to find some sort of success. So I mean, you can't knock a hustle. I'll put it that way. And you know, if you got lemon, you make lemonades. Hey, more power to you. So, but it's just, you know, just a way at the time he presented himself. You know, that was my ignorance to think that's how some people of the LGBT community who acted flamboyant were like that. So, big thanks to you and Jason for putting me in check. But not putting me in check, but educating me, setting the record straight. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who thinks this way, who's listening to the show. So thank y'all so much for, you know, just even have this open dialogue about all this. So I want to thank y'all so much for giving me. Okay, so basically, Jason and Christina have hijacked this episode today.
I
So
apologize.
their invitation is no longer welcome. So I mean, we're not going to extend an invitation to them. I'm just kidding. But no, this is open dialogue that we are needing, especially with everything going on right now. Like I said, it's been 20 at the time of recording, 20 days straight. People have been protesting for equality. And one thing that we have to, it's not just black, it's not just brown, not just white, it's everybody. And everybody wants to have equality, which is why people in the LGBT community have Pride Month. So for those who are part of the LGBT community, Jason and Lee, I want to just end the show with you all asking, what does Pride Month mean to you? I'm going to start with Lee.
Let's see. Pride Month to me is about celebrating my right to exist. Because for so long I didn't really feel like I could, just as myself. And now I'm in a much happier place in my life where I can do that. I mean, God, it's maybe been 15 years since I came out, and I've literally watched the world change just in that time, and it's become a much better. I mean, we still have a long ways to go, obviously, but it's become such a much better place for our community. Just God, like if you've watched television in the last 2 years, our representation has just skyrocketed, and I am so here for it. But no, pride for me means you're a survivor. You've lived through something that has pretty much changed your life because, okay, you've gone through what most people consider normal, but now you have to live this whole other life that, I mean, for most people in our community, they may not have a home to go to if they accept themselves for who they are. And that's what pride is. You have, your pride has to be stronger than the hate that's out there.
Thank you, Lee, for saying that. And like I said, just to hearing all you all just, keep me informed and letting me know how things are and not understanding, especially from a straight Christian's perspective. I definitely thank you so much for that. I want to actually ask the same question to our guest, Jason, who has, given so much information, and I want to thank you for that, sir. But same question goes to you, sir. What does Pride Month mean to you?
Pride Month is to me is being able to say that queer lives is as normal as straight lives. All of us are in the same earth, and it's just pride tells me that my life matters just as much as a queer person as me being a black person. It's like there's an intersection between being black and being queer that not many people get to talk about. And I'm glad I'm able to speak about my experiences and my voice, and to be able to use my voice and my talents in order to speak up for those who may not be able to. And you don't have to be loud. You don't have to be loud and proud. You can be, even if you're still in the closet, even if you are part of the way there or out, pride is for us to know that we're in this together. Or at least that's what they tell us. We're in this together, and that our feelings are valid, and we're here for you. We're here for all of the queer voices, especially for me, all of the black queer voices as well. And to be able to just stand equal with everyone else, in terms of my orientation and my gender identity. Yeah.
No, it's good. And thank you so much for telling us that and giving your viewpoints and telling us stories that you've seen and you've been through. So definitely thank you for coming on the show today. I was just kidding. You and Christina, well, you can come back anytime you want to. Christina, on the other hand, she's no longer accepted for
Oh my
coming.
I
God.
don't need you. I don't need you.
No, I'm just kidding. We have love for all of y'all, and I think I'm not. I have to educate myself more about Pride Month and know what it means, and learn the different flags. Because if I expect people to learn from me, why can I expect you to learn from you? Learn from you. Jason, before you go, how can people learn more about you or uh, just see the work you've been doing?
Okay, so I have a film called Broken Boy, and it pertains a lot about being Black and queer. You can follow us at Facebook at Broken Boy Film, also on Instagram under the same name, Broken Boy Film. For my other stuff, like my photography, you can go under Sisu Photo, once again on Facebook and Instagram. And that's where you get a lot of my photography and other stuff along those lines.
All right, and thank you so much, Jason. And we'll have the link to all this stuff below. So make sure you guys go follow Jason and go look at all his work about being a queer Black man in America. Definitely want to thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yo, what's up? Brandon Fountain here with Straight Up. If you don't know, you should know by now. Straight Up is now a podcast. So I'm quite sure there's a lot of people that, just want to talk and just want to say something, want to get their voice out there. And what's a better place to do it than here? Hey, if you want to be on the show and you have a subject, slide into the DMs. Let us know. Expect a lot of great subjects. Comment what you think. Give us feedback. And hey, you guys be straight up and you all try to practice social distancing so we can get this stuff past us.
Whew, wow. Okay, so that was a crazy episode, man. I can't believe all this is said. Christina, I don't think I want you back on the show anymore. I really don't think I want you back on
You
the
know
show.
what? I'm gonna ask Brandon if I can come back from here on. I don't need you. Brandon, am I still invited?
Yeah. You invited.
Of course you was. Of course you would say that. Anyway, thank you, Christina. Like I said, we got much love for you. Lee, was I well behaved today? Did I get in any trouble?
Leland doesn't want to be your friend
You
anymore.
were on your best behavior today, Calvin, and I really appreciate that. But no, but I do want to say Calvin is a really good ally because this episode is the perfect example of it because he did what most allies need to do is listen, and that's what he did, and that's the best thing you can do for anyone in your life.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is they better stop trying to come for me on these pronouns. We're gonna throw hands. Us.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
It's gonna throw hands.
That's Brandon. That's not me. That's Brandon. But
I didn't say you. No. It's like that was my joke about the pronoun thing. I said us is gonna throw hands. One more girl get in my face.
And
it's not a big deal. It really isn't. It's just I'm like, don't yell at me. How the hell was I supposed to know? This just popped up a year ago. Okay.
Well, I think that's the most important thing. We need to have more people understand, and they understand by listening. And so definitely a great episode. And I don't want anybody out there to think that I'm just this big homophobic person or especially in the Christian community. And I'm almost guaranteedly that there's going to be somebody who's going to hate this episode and criticize it. But Lee, we have an email address for people like that. If you're out there, you don't like this episode, we have an email where you can send all your hate mail to us. Lee, what is that email?
That email is idon'tcare@gmail.com.
So once again, it's idon'tcare@gmail.com. come. I'm just kidding. Like I said, we need this conversation, and we're just joking for sure about this, but it's a conversation that we need. And like I said, I am one of those people. Like I said, I am strong in my beliefs, but at the same time, I have to learn how to listen, and most important is I have to learn how to love. And I think that's what we need right now in this world. And people, even like I'm recording this right now, watching the news, and people are protesting. There's an epidemic going on, and they're saying that we want change, not only in America but around the world. So I mean, just it's the most important thing is for us to see our fellow human being as equals, and we can't look at them because I have a bow leg, I'm black, and I'm overweight. So I mean, I get looked at constantly. So, but that doesn't determine who I am. It doesn't show doesn't determine what my character is. As you know that. I can change. I used to be homophobic, and now here I am, over almost 10 years later, and I'm still a friend with my friend who is married to a gay man. So, if I can change, can you change? And that's the most important thing that we try to get through this podcast is for people to sit down, understand, and listen. You don't have to have the same beliefs, but listen. We want to continue the conversation on all our social media platforms. If you want to donate to us and help us out, because we are winding down on our season, this is our first season of the podcast, you can send us donations. You want to call and tell us, or you can send all your email inquiries at straightupshow@gmail.com. That's straightupshow@gmail.com. We do accept Google Wallet if you want to help contribute, because I know I need a brand new laptop. But if you want to just contribute to the show anyway, you want to be a guest, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms at Straight Up Show, Straight Up The Show, on Twitter and on YouTube, Straight Up Show, more specifically, Straight Up Shreveport. I am your host, Calvin, and it's Brandon, Christina, Jason, and Lee. There's only one rule to the show is you have to be
Straight up.
All right, guys. Till next time. Have a good one.